anyone would give me some feedback on the sound right now, and also on the picture clarity. So I kind of waffled between, for today's program, being inside the visitor center where we have a stuffed species of today's subject, but then I thought I'd really like to be outside in the area where we kind of commonly see them. Actually, they're seen all over the place, and I believe, and I'm glad I went with the outside, because I believe, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm staring at a pair of northern harriers perched on an agave. And I'm just using the iPhone. I've zoomed in a little. I have no idea if you guys can see them as clear as I can, which isn't crystal clear, but I definitely can see the outline. There is a wind noise. Okay, great, thanks, Anne. It is a little windy. I'll try turning my back. All right, easily seen. Okay, great. And I'm so glad. I don't want to flip the camera around yet. And I'll try to keep my back to the wind. Just if you can continually give me feedback if you're hearing wind, I appreciate it. There is a light wind out here. It is in kind of an exposed area, but our subjects may not stay for very long, and so I'd like to keep the camera on them while we're waiting for folks to come. I started the program a couple minutes early, and we'll see what kind of audience we have. So if you're just tuning in, I believe we're looking at a pair of northern harriers perched on an agave. And I say this because as I walked out here to this site, there was a female flying around, and I didn't see where she landed as I was setting up my equipment. But then I noticed this pair, and hi Mark, and I believe that is the northern harrier. But it's silhouetted, and I don't have binoculars with me. However, when heavy wind noise sometimes covers your voice. All right, I'll try to speak a little louder. I feel like they can hear me, but I know they probably, well, maybe they can. And when I say they, I'm talking about what I believe are northern harriers perched on an agave that I've zoomed in on. It is a little bit of a windy day, post-storm. I hope everyone survived the storm all right. It was quite a storm, and which is a reason why it is a sunny day and I wanted to be outside. But like I said to those of you who tuned in earlier, I thought about doing this inside the visitor center, where we have a stuffed northern harrier in our diorama, our visitor center exhibits. But I do have pictures with me, and it looks like we might have the real deal here. Although we're not going to see quite all the distinct features that you would if you were here in person. So how many of you know what I'm talking about when I say northern harrier? And please, if you're just tuning in, and if you have questions and comments and feedback on the sound, please feel free to type that in. I'm monitoring the comments, and and today we're looking at a pair of northern harriers, which I couldn't have asked for, anything more, but to see the real thing. Usually with birds or any kind of animal, for Lunchtime Live, where you just got to show a picture, and I will, because this silhouette doesn't really do them justice, but it's pretty cool. Yeah. So Mark, what is a northern harrier? I'm talking about a pair of northern harriers. I saw one there on the rope along the trail. What a treat. Yes, I've seen them there as well. They're relatively common, and there is, and if you haven't seen one, you may not know that you saw one, or after today, where we talk about some of their distinct physical attributes and behaviors, you may start noticing them more, because they really are easily recognizable. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about a bird of prey, the northern harrier, Circus hudsonius. Northern harrier. This is a bird of prey, meaning this is they belong to the hawks and eagles and the kites, that family, the accipiters. Okay? Northern harrier, fairly common, actually very common hawk in North America. The only harrier species in North America. Okay? Found really all over, from northern Canada down into Mexico. This is, one of the more common species. Doesn't mean that they're not in trouble, but if you've seen a hawk, you've only one. This is probably the one that you've seen, and that's because they are found in marshes and fields and prairies and open fields. So both wet and dry kind of terrain. Someone saw one at Lake Hodges, yeah. So inland, they're not just coastal. They have this nickname. When I first started here, people like to call them marsh hawks, but really they prefer these open areas with a lot of cover, meaning like scrub and shrub cover. Okay. But marshes too as well. So, along those fringes of marshes is the upland with typically scrub and shrub or low-lying vegetation. And this is what they prefer. So this is a bird that's kind of medium in size. And okay, I'm just gonna flash the picture real quick. And again, I'm sorry, I'm just so excited about this. My name is Maria. I'm an education specialist and research assistant here at the Tijuana River National Estuarine Research Reserve. And I think for most of you who are tuning in for Lunchtime Live, you are aware of where I am. I'm standing very close to the visitor center. All right, I'll just flip this really quickly. I really hate to take the camera off that. So I'm standing here on the other side of the tidal linkage from the visitor center. Hi everyone, it's so great to see you. It's a beautiful sunny day here. I wanted to share with you today the Northern Harrier. Okay, the Northern Harrier, and this is just one image of the Northern Harrier. I have another one for you, the Circus Hudsonia. Circus Hudsonius. Okay, in the family of hawks and kites. So, hi Christina. Thanks for joining us. Hi Judy. Thanks for joining us. And this is the location, kind of. I mean, really, thank you for chiming in and saying where you've seen them before. If you're near the visitor center, it's we have this kind of wide open area with marsh and coastal sage scrub where they're often seen. And as I walked out here, I saw a female flying, and I believe she landed there in the agave, probably a male, common in the San Jacinto Valley. Awesome. Yes, see, they are found all over North America, and typically their breeding grounds are the northern populations, up in Canada, northern part of the U.S. However, they are considered migratory, and they move to southern climate. Yes, it is perfect timing. More southern, warmer climate to southern part of the U.S. and into Mexico for wintering. However, they are, in the southern part of the U.S., in these more milder climates, they kind of stay all year, right? So we see them all year here at the Tijuana Estuary. And here we are after a big storm, kind of in the middle of winter. And there they are. There's a deer on that agave above, which is in that coastal sage scrub, just adjacent to. Guys a sense of place with some salt marsh just to the west and north, and Seacoast Drive over there. On the other side of those homes is that Pacific Ocean. Yes, and I will hold the picture up again. Let's see. Yep, not great. We've got the sun behind us today. Or there. So yeah, the Northern Harrier. This is a female. Now this is a medium-sized hawk, a little slender. See that rounded-ish tail there. Females and males look pretty different. The females are generally a little bigger and We don't see it in this picture because we're looking at the female from underneath, but that white patch, both male and female. That white patch, very distinct at the base of the trail. So if you're able to see them from above, and which is a lot easier than you think, you'll notice that white tail patch. That's the giveaway right there. Okay, yes, smaller than a red tail. I don't know how big a red tail is, but the northern harrier is smaller, medium-sized hawk. Okay, let's get back on the. Sorry, I want to get back on the. Where'd they go? Let's see. And there we are. Okay, not the clearest. It's just an iPhone 8, but there we go. And and you know, they have a wingspan maybe 38 to 48 inches, maybe about 15, 20 inches long. The other thing that you might notice about them, and I don't know if you notice it in the picture, I'll show the picture again, is that they have this very flat owl-like face. Very flat owl-like face, that rump on the tail, right? And when they're flying, you'll see them with maybe that kind of V shape. They hold their wings in that kind of V shape above the horizon. This pair now they again, like those marshes, those fields, those prairies, they are ground nesters. So here they are perched in this agave. However, they build their nest on the ground. Either the male or the female will choose a location, and they do this sometimes in open fields as well, but on the ground in a shrubby, so that there is some cover. When they're hunting, they fly. Their wings spread, they'll glide. And I did read that they do hover a bit when they spot their prey. I haven't noticed it that much when I've watched them. And for those of you, those more skilled birders, avid birders in the group, you may be able to answer that question about the hovering. You know, that's a very classic behavior with kites and falcons. They do that kind of hovering, but I haven't really seen that with harriers so much. Maybe they do just briefly. Now, this male and female, if this is a male and a female, and I won't know until they get up and fly, it's just too silhouetted for me, and I don't have binoculars. Okay, Mark, okay, they hover a little like an osprey, thank you. You know, a male will mate with several females, in a season, so they're not monogamous. The female will lay maybe like 4 or 5 eggs. Okay, a pretty good amount of eggs. However, there is, you know, a chance of predation on the eggs because they are ground nesters from mammals, you know, possums, skunks, that sort of thing, which then, you know, causes the population to, you know, be a little threatened in that regard. They eat also, you know, small mammals, birds, you know, rats, voles, mice, those kinds of things living in the coastal sage scrub. Yeah, maybe some weasels, for sure. They really are very generalist. I mean, I think they prefer small mammals and maybe small birds, but they will eat, you know, ducks, larger birds like ducks. I think in tough times they'll eat like grasshoppers and kind of insects, lizards, snakes, frogs, okay? And maybe even on dead things, which is not necessarily common for them. They're not vultures, but maybe when times are tough. So they're fairly adaptable in what they eat. since they do cover kind of this very general habitat of open areas, so prairies, marshes, open fields, that sort of thing. I kind of do wish they would get. I like them sitting there, but I also wish they kind of would get up and fly. So maybe we could get a look at that white patch, and also to show you the behavior. So their flying behavior is very distinct. Okay, so they fly, like I mentioned, that V-shaped pattern, but it's where they fly. It's where they fly that is a bit unique. They fly very low. Have you ever seen a hawk, a bird of prey, flying low over the vegetation, low over the field, over the marsh? Okay, if you have, flying low, consistently low, staying about the same level until it finds something or attempts to get some food, that's going to be a northern harrier. They have this, that pattern, that flying pattern, where they fly very low to the ground, unlike a lot of other hawks that hunt from very high above, and so you're looking up at them. It's not uncommon to see that white patch at the base of the tail on a northern harrier, because they're often flying very low, just 10, 20 feet above the marsh. And so, and if they bank a little, it's really easy to see that patch. And if you happen to, I mentioned that the face is more owl-like, kind of flat-shaped. I'll show that picture again, but that is an adaptation and evolutionary adaptation that allows them to pick up sound like owls do. So they're listening, and because they're flying low, they're listening for prey. And that then kind of suggests that maybe their eyesight really isn't all that good, or that they have this niche that they can fill because of that. So they're low flying hunters, and that's looking at those, looking for those small mammals and those birds, rodents, that sort of thing, in those prairies and fields and marshes that they like so much, where there's good ground cover, right? Very cool. They're fun to watch. And like I said, you guys have been sharing these awesome locations that you've seen them inland from here, perched along the trail. I've seen it too, along the North McCoy Trail, just perched on the post and cable. Very cool. Here they are on the agave. I'm really surprised that they're here. They've been sitting there for so long. But I did see the female flying around before I got here, and I'm almost 100% positive that's where she landed. Okay, so I keep saying that they're common, and they are. They have a very, that large range, but there is some evidence that their population is in a slow decline. Nothing too staggering that has them on has them in a status, an official status of threatened or definitely not endangered. But what would some reasons for their decline be? This is a bird that's found all over. It seems fairly adaptable in these open areas. What might be some reasons for loss of decline? Well, some of their habitat has become has changed. Insecure nesting sites. That's a good one. Yeah. A lot of it is loss of habitat. So as we've kind of drained some of these wetlands and developed areas for large scale agriculture, these open areas aren't available to them anymore. And then a lot of that also has to do with their prey. So if areas are being grazed and there's pesticides, that reduces the cover, and a lot of those small mammals become affected, impacted, and they're not in the numbers as available food for the harriers as well. These were species that, you can imagine if they're eating small mammals, they were successful. Ooh, and we got to see a little wing stretching action there. They are susceptible. Sorry about that. To things like pesticides, right? So they were affected by DDT up until the 70s, when the ban on DDT restrictions went into effect. But they were affected by that, and that caused their populations to decline. So as DDT was passed up through the food chain and into those small mammals that they would eat, that accumulated in the birds and affected their eggs through the thin eggshell effect that DDT had on these birds. But since then, that hasn't really been a problem for them. It's just things like habitat loss and habitat change from these more preferred areas to open grazing areas, which don't provide the cover for their food. And then, as some of these other mammals that are a bit more available, able to adapt to human populations, things like the possums and the skunks and squirrels, they can prey on those harrier eggs, since they are ground nesters. So this has been so amazing, so wonderful to see those harriers just sitting there. And you have to trust me, I guess, because it is tough to see any distinct pattern. And the silhouette is just so dark. But if you know harriers and you know the size, this is about the right size. There, the northern harrier, Circus hudsonius. I couldn't have asked for a better. Well, the only thing better is if they would get up and fly, and we could see that flying pattern. Those kind of look like kites. Okay, Mark is definitely a better birder than I am, so maybe so I could be wrong. And there we have maybe a house finch. The female is bigger, and the male lighter. Yeah. All right, so now the birders have come in. Thank you. So maybe I'm wrong. There was a female here, and I didn't see where she landed, and I assumed that might be there. So I will have to do a white-tailed, black-shouldered kite program and use this video. Just dub it right over. There we go. All right, well then, in that case, if these are kites and we don't have the time to stay all day, I hope that okay, Robin says last year. See, Robin, you should be doing the bird ones for me. Robin's definitely much more of a birder than I am. So, learn something new every day. So I'm going to keep my eye on them since we are talking about the northern harrier. There we are. There's that female. There's that flat owl-shaped, or owl. Sorry about this. Owl-like face. That's great for absorbing sound as they hunt low to the ground. There's that female looking down, and this is a photo courtesy of Mark Arndt, who's watching. Thank you, Mark, and your wonderful bird photos that you allow us to use. Thank you. And there's that beautiful female. Okay. And then on the Yes, so very good. Yes. So earlier in the program, I was describing the way they look. The giveaway, besides the low-flying behavior, which is really uncommon to any other kind of bird of prey, is until they're swooping down to get their prey. The harriers are cruising low above the habitat, searching for food, listening for food. Okay? And then what you can see is that white patch at the base of the tail. Both the male and the female have this distinct giveaway. The male, we don't see the male as often around here. I've definitely seen a lot more females than males with that gray body, gray coloration, white underneath, female brown, and the immatures brown until they become adult. If they're male, they'll mold to this gray color. Beautiful bird, and one that you most, if you're gonna see a bird of prey here at the T1 estuary, or this is one that's gonna be, just the more likely. It's always around. There we go. Very good. Anyway, there we go. So northern harrier and our friends the kites that have been perching so nicely over there. Gosh, I really wanted it to be a northern harrier, and I'm so glad I came out here because of that. I was going to go and do this from the visitor center where we have a stuffed northern harrier in the diorama. For those of you who've been there before, have been here before. So when things are open again, we're not open, and say if you come down here and you use the trails and you don't see a northern harrier, and we're open again when we do open again, you can come inside and get a look at one up close through the glass, and really get a look at that face, that owl-like flat face. That's classic of the northern harrier. So, and then you can see I'm standing here with the channel. There's actually a willet right behind me. I was sort of thinking there's some American coot in the water there. The trails are not crowded. They're not very crowded right now, Judy. So so the trails are relatively wide, so it's easy to social distance and pass people for the most part. We've got they're more like service roads, so especially down at 5th and Iris. So it is possible. Oh, there's a little grebe on the other side of the channel there. So I'm thinking, I don't know if you guys know, next Tuesday is World Wetlands Day, and I'll be participating in something I'll let you guys know about on our Facebook page once the promotion has been done. But I was thinking maybe I would come back out here again for Lunchtime Live and maybe do something more wetland related, maybe just a general birding, and hope that the birding is as good as it is today. So I've got to sign off. It's been wonderful. I really appreciate the feedback and the information, and the grebes are really cool. And also learning something new, that I'm looking at a pair of kites and not harriers. So feeling kind of silly, but that's how you learn, right? So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Let's enjoy the sunshine while we can before that next storm comes in. So thanks, everyone.